This is Dungeon Fight Club, and I'm Zombie Cat. Today we're talking about why murder hobos are great and should be allowed to flourish in games sometimes. So let's get to it. Murder Hobo Haven. This is the DM's bane. You have set up and established an intricate negotiation between your NPC and the players. The stakes could never be higher. On the one hand, you might lose the NPC's trust. They may not let you into the kitchen of the castle you're infiltrating. The fate of the region and the future of your kingdom rests upon the group. They must get documents proving Lord Tyrant is conspiring with demons, and his aim is not to revitalize the local park region, but to secretly set up a series of glyphs designed to summon Baphomet and turn the city into a hellish maze. The negotiation starts. The young butler meets you outside the kitchen, and you decide to pay him off. Your roll goes bad, and he's insulted by the intent to purchase his loyalty. The moment is tense. You try to intimidate. The rogue rolls attack? Natural 20? Okay, so you eviscerate the young butler. And he lets out a scream. Oh, you were hidden in sneak attack. Oh, so he is silently dispatched. I guess you go in. This is the story lamented by most DMs. I can hear it now, on a message board, or later in the parking lot of a game shop, complaining that all your time and effort was lost because after the silent killing of the young butler, the group butchered every guard and every domesticated animal in the castle, got the papers, and then went to the magistrate expecting a reward. I think this is the trap DMs fall into. Now going forward, keep in mind too, that this is not a one-size-fits-all essay on every case of a party just killing without abandon. Obviously, if it's not fun for the group or fun for one player, you need to talk about that. If the DM is trying a theme or world with hard consequences, well, you might just have a player who doesn't fit your group. That's okay. Play something else. Or see how you can accommodate this. But I won't spend the entire video going, yes, but, and this works if, just so we're on the same page. Instances of truly violent or heinous acts in any game should not be tolerated. Things that violate another player or their morals should always be policed. Toxic gameplay can destroy any group. So definitely define at session 0 what your limits are. But that's not what we were talking about here. We were talking about the subject in a sense that your players kill every NPC you put forward. Every avenue is met with combat instead of negotiation. Every negotiation ends with an NPC tied up and quote-unquote convinced to give information using different sharp and pointy tools and maybe a hammer to the knees. So let's get to it. Firstly, the story is not yours. It's theirs. Secondly, every decision they make is an opportunity for a different story. Lastly, you're not there to train them how to be good people or good players. When you look at murder hobo campaigns and what most things devolve into, you must understand that this, at its core, is a game about killing stuff. And you kill stuff that's bigger and bigger so you can get tougher and stronger. The system is literally designed to funnel your effort into combat. The game you make may never be the cloak and dagger, political thriller you imagined, but having a murder hobo mentality can be a very good thing. Instead of complaining about how the negotiation ended in the death of a small town, talk about how a lot of the meat of that session was an exciting combat sequence with varied ideas and strategies. You can have a real-world expectation and consequences for the murder hobo mentality, but if everyone is having fun, and the group session ends with laughing and bragging about the character's highlights, you've done a good job. You've DM'd a successful game. So my first point on this is that it's not your story. In a game I was in, the characters were cursed with the 7 deadly sins, and they spent much of it killing every NPC presented to them. At this point, it was expected that the campaign would go a few months more, as they were on the path to fight the big bad guy. But this tangent added so much extra adventure, gameplay, and fun that every session became less follow the breadcrumbs and more see what trouble you can get into next. The players played their roles beautifully. And what did I expect? I made them murder hobos by cursing them. How could I then punish them? They were in full control to ignore the curse, or try to figure out why suddenly they were desiring different primal aspects of their nature. But would you? Do you always take the good, introspective look at yourself when you are in a fight or situation? This is their story, not mine. I am there to throw some lore at them and see how they play in a game I designed. But they're doing what they want. Now, of course, there are limits, right? If we're talking about pure chaos that ruins everyone's fun, that's one thing. But truly, I have rarely ever encountered an individual just killing rapidly every member of the group, every trader in every shop. I know it happens, but most people play along because that's the game. I think in a way, Murder Hobo has been oversaturated as a bad thing when it cuts through a lot of the convoluted storytelling you were trying to impose on your players. So you have a group that likes to kill NPCs and they haven't spent much time delving into the hollowed halls of your epic narrative. This is the second fallacy I think DMs fall into, thinking that their narrative is better than what the players can come up with in the moment. Sometimes you have great ideas, and it can be unnerving when instead of negotiating for a better price on a magic item, the players tie up and bleed the shopkeep for all their money and information. Did you ever notice how many negotiations end at the end of a knife in games? This is an easy obstacle to overcome when you embrace chaos and go with it. The story will be crazy, erratic, and maybe during this process, you will find a common enemy or thread that engages them. They kidnap the shopkeep, leave town, and are fighting a dragon. Great! A band of bounty hunters is stalking them and waiting to capture them. Upon beating a weakened party, the crew finds themselves in a carriage going towards a dark castle with every window and door shuttered. Oops! They killed the shopkeep in a town run by a vampire lord, who can't allow petty crimes to go unpunished. He must keep order, you know. This is engaging. This is a fun escape story. You didn't just kill the player or punish them for their behavior. You didn't take away their agency. You relocated them to a place where their more violent tendencies can be satiated. And who knows, maybe after an evil campaign for a while, they'll want something different. But even if they align with the vampire lord and become his enforcer, there are engaging stories that can be told. No one said DMing was meant to be no work at all, but the reward is worth it. Your goal is to have the folks in your group hanging out after the session, talking about all the possibilities. This brings us to the final point in favor of murder hobos: crime and punishment. Now here's the most contentious thing about it. You never want to punish a player for deciding to kill an NPC. It's a game. They aren't real. Just make another character. Make another story path. You're players in a world as well. You're not against the players. You're one of them. Their success is yours. Their failings are yours. Sometimes death can be dealt, and sometimes it's important to maintain the verisimilitude, it's a Matt Colville word, in your adventure, that there are real consequences for actions. But consider that maybe you aren't presenting them with an interesting enough reason to befriend the giant who's been raiding the village, or help the young butler from earlier in the story solve an issue so that he doesn't question why you need to get into the castle kitchen. The point is, you are not there to teach players how to be players. Let them play their game. One of the best instances I can think of for this is a game I played in where one of the characters was always killing every character he came across. All the people we ran into were pickpocketed, and many sneaking missions became bloodbaths. But it was later revealed that he was secretly under the sway of a wizard who was using our party to try and put together an item that would give him ultimate power. The creature they killed, the body parts that they took, we would attribute to being a murder hobo. And often we would sit there complaining about why he was doing it. They were all part of him and the DM's plan. In the end, they were freed from the enemy. This is a case of a DM taking a player who has been killing a lot and turn it into a fun side plot. In the end, D&D and tabletop games is like playing Barbies with paper and dice. It's like playing G.I. Joe. This is imaginary. You dress up your character and you play make-believe. And if the DM takes it upon themselves to go punish out every behavior they don't like, well then, the DM is just an adversary to the group. They're playing against them instead of looking for opportunities that could be in front of them. So murder hobos cut through the BS, can move the plot along, can make interesting sidetracks in the story. In the end, I don't think they're that bad at all. If you don't believe me, give it a try. The next time your player kills a guard, instead of knocking him out and stashing the body, they get an opportunity to make it a grander adventure. Okay, be kind to each other, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you for watching. 3, 2, 1, subscribe!